Namaste, beautiful yogis. Today we are doing question and answer matcha time. And I'm actually wearing traditional Bulgarian shirt. My cousin gave us a set or three last summer. One for Johnny. They're all different. One for Lottie, very cute, and one for me. And I figured, well, I didn't know what to wear today, so I figured I'll wear something real beautiful and handmade. It's just amazingly beautiful handmade detail. And this side too. Does it remind you of other country patterns? The specific patterns that they use, it's quite beautiful. Johnny's is different and Lottie's is different, but they're all from this beautiful kind of linen like cotton. And so I asked you questions. Let's begin. I asked you questions on Instagram, and I took photocopies. It was a week ago, and now I'm getting around to do the video. So we'll start with the questions, and we'll see how far we can get. Will you consider doing another fruit yoga? Totally. I totally loved it. It was just an incredible. I would say creatively or inspiration-wise, it was an incredible year because there is so much happening that I did the fruit yoga maybe in May or April. You can find it on the website. It's called Fruit Yoga. Could be May. And it was one of my favorite programs, series. Just very different from other classes I've done. Vinyasa, but very different. It's just the themes were different, and the movement was different. I tried to tap into the energetics, the plant energetics. And plants, especially fruit, is pretty much the only non-karma, not the only, I would say leaves too, is a non-karma food. When we talk on the scale of frequency, it's really high frequency, condensed sun energy, which is sun consciousness, and everything is frequency, everything is consciousness. So it's basically information, high frequency information, because when we eat, we're not just physically feeding our cells, we're feeding the consciousness. So to me, it's a very inspiring subject, and I thoroughly enjoyed tapping into fruit. And I didn't do that many fruits because there's too many to do, and there was a glut of choices. So I did cherry and orange blossom because I did the flowers, which the flower carries the ethereal energy of the plant, and that's why it's used in flower remedies. Don't confuse them with essential oils. It's completely different. It's kind of like the higher octave of homeopathy, where it uses the energy and the memory of water. And we all are water, so we're dealing with that collective memory as well. Anyways, so yeah, I would love to do it. Let me know. Also, there has been a talk, I've mentioned it, you've mentioned it, about tree yoga. Now, on my website, and I would say on my YouTube, the ones that are most preferred are always physical classes, core, booty, and full-on physical. That's why I'll do coffee cups and tea cups. So coffee cups are about 30 minutes, just very direct stuff, not exhausting, but just no time wasted in mumbo jumbo, just stretching and working and moving, and just a very wholesome 30 minutes. Espresso shots are 15 to 20 minutes, and coffee cups, I'll do them around 40 minutes. I have already chai latte. I can dip into the teas like pu'er, oolong, matcha. I just made a matcha with I started experimenting with certain mushrooms and with bamboo extract. I'll do actually another video on supplements and skincare, just things that lately I've been into. But yeah, I think I would love to, but you let me know. I just kind of go sometimes with my own desires, but oftentimes I go with what I think you want. So let me know. I take your ideas always into consideration, and I try to do the suggestions. Someone said to do Mercury retrograde. I do this for YouTube. It's always like an evergreen thing to come back to. It's always Mercury retrograde anyway, so like it's almost never in between. What have you learned on your gardening journey? I'm trying to grow some veggies myself. All right, to get all metaphysical on you with the gardening, just patience. And every failure is just a learning step towards becoming a better at your craft, gardening, a better gardener. So I've made every mistake in the book, and I do believe that I can make a lot more, even though I covered all mistakes as far as I'm concerned, but I can discover more mistakes. But yeah, it's beautiful. One thing I think I've learned that is kind of besides the gardening, but also about gardening, you can always grow something small. You can always have trays. If you don't have a garden, a backyard, front yard, you can always have a tray with a light and grow sprouts. Or in a jar, old school. In a tray you can grow microgreens, pea shoots, sunflower shoots, etc. So you can always grow some really good green nutritious food at home, broccoli sprouts and so forth. Everybody, and talk to your neighborhood if you're in an apartment or if you're in not a situation where you have a garden. Organize people. Everybody should have a compost, because all of the food that goes into the trash creates greenhouse gases, and it's super unenvironmental, and it can turn into amazing basically gold. In gardening is compost, it's pure gold. And you can have a small composting bin on your balcony or outside for a few houses, and you throw your scraps, food scraps, and it turns into black soil. It takes a little bit of craft. You have to put leaves and branches and brown in it, but it's phenomenal. It's just the gold in gardening. And we also don't waste anything. It goes back into the soil, and the top 6 inches of the soil are where all life for us exists, humanity. So we have to preserve them. And soil with modern farming is always stripping. So just if everybody had compost, we'll have amazing soil. And in biodynamic farming, I shared on Facebook, there was a video of a biodynamic farmer that grows on a pile, so 2 feet deep, 2 feet tall pile of food scraps and compost. He plants in spring a tomato plant that gives, first of all, grows 13 feet tall, and it grows like 3,000 tomatoes a season. If we get, to the 10th of that, I'll be happy. But yeah, compost, patience. I understand that the first year the soil is still not worth itself in, so I have some plants are struggling with the heat, some seem to need a lot more nutrients. My compost is still going, so it's just a journey. It's just a journey, and to enjoy the journey and to continue whatever you can grow, and also to grow the weird stuff that no one thinks about. Like I'm thinking, if we stay here longer, to grow beauty berries. They're just like fluorescent purple, like almost like a not earthly purple, kind of like our meditations. In the meditations, I want to spark your imagination to think about like things that are not perceived by the normal senses, the 3D senses, but to step outside of that, because it really opens up the perception, the mind. So beauty berries, you can make jam with them. They grow kind of wild. Sumac grows wild here. Lovage, that's more for a cooler climate. Things like this that are kind of less expected, like hyssop. I just bought a hyssop oil from Oracacia. This is how you pronounce it. That's because we're at the Frontier Co-op, and that's the only essential oil they carry brand. So I really wanted to try hyssop, so I got it. Liberating. From Spain and Hungary, spicy, sweet. So that's it. I think that's what I've learned, to just keep going and to accept failure. And we are having a little bit of success now too, because the weather cooled off. But again, we struggle with insects and all of that. Have you considered doing an ASMR video? You have the perfect voice for it. Thank you. No, I am not. I haven't really listened to ASMR videos. I've kind of seen those with crackling fire and other sounds, and they're okay. But because it's not a big thing for me, I personally not sure I can do a good job at something that you have to really be into something, like the way I'm into yoga. And when you offer it, it kind of, it, you know, it comes through. But because I'm not a good consumer of ASMR, I actually cannot do well with really intimate mouth sounds, you know, chewing and just like, you know, the details. Probably I'm not the best candidate for it, but meditations, other talk stuff, yeah. What is your favorite tea and possible benefits of drinking it? I value your suggestions. Right now, my favorite is, besides the fact that I'm drinking right now matcha, is the sweet potato leaves. They have multiple benefits for vision, antioxidants, you know, for diabetes, for this, but because they're local, they grow abundantly in my garden. You actually are better off trimming them. So my suggestion is to always study herbs, to always test different herbs, not just local. A lot of local, exotic is okay, imported or other ones that you buy from someone. Grow herbs, anything you can grow, try to grow it in pots, outside, balconies, in felt bags, and just keep studying them, because you connect to Gaia, the consciousness of Gaia. Also, when you look at your environment, usually all the conditions that arise are new to a certain climate, certain environment. The capacity to heal them is within a very short distance from you, because herbs always come to the rescue. If something new arises, new disease, like Lyme's disease is big, but then there is knotweed everywhere, which is known to be very effective for Lyme's disease. So always study your environment, because it will enrich you. It will, you're going to connect to the consciousness of Gaia as a consciousness, as a conscious being, which is far more expanded than a human being, but still nonetheless a consciousness. And you will connect to the feminine element, to the nurturing element, and it will expand you as a person. The more we connect to Gaia, the more we expand also out or up, which is all win really. Everything is inward. When we talk reaching up into the universe, we're actually going into the inner universe. So I would suggest that you always study, always stay curious, make it a passion, make it a hobby of yours, but always study herbs, try new herbs. If you see a tea you've never heard of, have it, buy it, learn some local wild herbs from someone, grow of course, but really do not stop with studying plants, because that is a true miracle there, true gifts there, and they give us health, and more so are assisting us with our expansion of consciousness. So they're very important. We live in a very, very bizarre world of materialism and not understanding nature. So we have to do the work ourselves, because it's not going to come from school or from our culture or from society. It will come from a few wise women, wise men in the community or whoever you connect to. But study herbs and don't fear them. All of them are really powerful in healing you, and they're very synergistic and intelligent. They work with you. That's all I will say. Have you, as I said, sweet potato, they are very good for, you know, slimming down, for, as I said, blood sugar, or diuretic, kidney. They're just amazing, and they grow abundantly. And at the end, you have a whole Japanese, I planted sweet potato. So, and it's a decorative plant. It's used decoratively. So that's a genius, one of those plants to grow in a southern climate. But every climate has something that's kind of almost like you can't stop it. It's so powerful. It grows like crazy. grow those things too. That's for the gardening advice. That's my advice for myself, to just grow the plants that love it here. Which is right now okra, the beans. Have you ever experienced deep loneliness? I would say this, in the presence of people that I'm not resonating with, or I don't have deep resonance. It's almost like the souls are in a different frequency or something. I have experienced kind of profound loneliness, not within myself. Within myself, it's a very enriching experience. I by myself never feel lonely. I can have, I would say, the older I get, the more contained I am within myself, but I have experienced loneliness in the company of people, the wrong for me company. It is a deep soul aching type of experience, but it is usually for me related to just not surrounding myself with what nurtures me, because relationships to me too are very important. Companionship and just other humans are very important, other souls, other beings, and it's both. We are here to experience that exchange, but also to experience that absolute complete fullness within myself. I have this absolute fullness, completion. It's sacred, the time with myself. It's really stimulating. I consider myself good company to myself. I mean, real and entertaining, never judgmental, just a good conversationalist inside my head, right? It's but yeah, externally. So it comes down to really building your inner resources and protection in order to connect, because within there is the whole universe and you connect to the divine. You can call it up, but you can call it deep in, and there is this absolute peace, because we get a glimpse of pure existence, pure consciousness. We are pure consciousness that has chosen to experience itself fragmented. So we experience the fragmentation, we definitely do. And especially because I always crave being around my family because they're so far. It is hard, but it propels you to become really rich within. Every loneliness is, I think, that it calls you to have a very rich experience within, to travel within, to expand within, to learn, to work on expansion. And also to another aspect of it is to not think about yourself in small petty terms, about your personality, looks, even role in the world. Those things are just, more mundane, but to really experience yourself within the whole. That is how we anchor ourselves. And again, nature. In nature, it's really much easier to experience deep connection and fulfillment. So in other words, just to answer the question briefly, yeah, I have, but it is in the sense of, and that was more in my 20s and 30s, in the sense of 30s too. It was more within the other people experience that could really kind of bring about a more sad experience. Lift up the camera. All right, how to maintain a strong sense of self commitment to spiritual path while in a partnership? That's another good question. I think that's the most important thing to really always do, to have that, to be self-contained, to be on a really strong internal path, to have a strong mind, and we're not talking the thinking mind, we're talking the higher mind, to not expect to stay motivated from outside, someone to motivate you, to push you to be spiritual, but to have your routine that you can fall back to every day, and to take it as, brushing your teeth, something that just you do as your own filling your cup practice. So although I do value relationships and companionship and just friendships and love and all of that, I am an Aries that is good with relationships, but that is, I think, because I have a very strong center, maybe even solar plexus, very strong personality or mind. And also, of course, with the personality, that's a whole nother mundane story, that I need another strong personality so we don't overtake each other, but we just kind of tiptoe dance around each other. But I have a strong mind, so what I want to do is just kind of unrelated. I'm just very oriented. So I think it's a practice. I think it's a practice, not a way to be inspired or motivated, because those are just, kind of the waves, the ebb and flow of life, and you're always gonna have both. And you can't rely on just the highs, but to just have a particular practice that feels good. And also, if you don't like certain modalities of spirituality, don't do them. It doesn't have to be very strict. Meditation doesn't have to be not fun. You can do it while gardening. You can listen to meditation music while walking, while washing dishes. Do it in a way that you look forward to do it. Read books that spark everything in you. And always take time to yourself. I think alone time is really important. If I don't have enough alone time, I am less of service to others, less balanced, less centered. So I always have to take, and I don't feel guilty about it. If I can take, I take some time to myself, because to me it's important. So always take a little bit to yourself, and that will enrich your relationships anyways. So I think this is very important, to just really be committed to yourself, or to your to the inner world, I should say, because I don't want it to sound like our self-obsessed culture where everything is about continuously being, it depends on the consciousness it comes from, but to just really enrich yourself as a spiritual, as a divine being, so that the energy you emanate into the whole enriches the whole. The energy you're at, your frequency changes the whole, without you having to serve in any way, without you having to go in the world and do anything. If you just keep yourself at a higher frequency, your thoughts are connected to a waveform, a stream of consciousness, because our thoughts are not ours. We tap into a stream of consciousness, then we put that into the human collective, and that is the main thing we can contribute. So self-service, should never be considered in that sense. If you are just expanding yourself and connecting to the divine, it is a service to all. But not to be mistaken with service to self versus service to others. We always want to serve others and think less about the self. So taking a little bit of rest from the outside so you can go within, is how I should word it, is very important. So through your own energy you can serve from that place of nourishing the self, so that you can nourish the whole. And and always taking an expanded view, so you always think about, or you always hold thoughts that are more expanded, rather than just the kind of the pettier stuff, if that makes sense. Is it hard? I'm starting to go into a different direction, so I'm gonna stop here. But always Take time to yourself, not serve yourself, because that now it's become more of a term, comparing dark to light, service to self and service to others. Those are the paths that beings have taken, and as we would call them, dark and light, and that is the war on consciousness. And here as human beings, we are here to serve others and to expand so that we can reconnect with the whole. And anyways, our self is not isolated. We are very fluid souls. We don't just travel from life to life to life, the same contained soul that is just kind of was not understanding how bizarre the world is. So you can call it paradoxical, bizarre. It's quantum. It's, you can carry the memory of different incarnations of souls that kind of morph and blend into each other, and so forth. So is it hard to live in the US in COVID times? In Czech Republic, we have maybe only bad news about the world, and I'm sad. So you're saying that there is only bad news there, and I don't know if it's hard there. In the States, I think in the cities probably it's a little more challenging. Where we are, it's about the same energy. We are kind of outside of a city, so it's just, you know, it's just beautiful oak trees everywhere, and it's the same. But I mean, it shifts. I think it is intense in general in the entire world. I didn't travel this year to see my family, so it's everybody is feeling it, and I'm just taking the route of experiencing gratitude, so I don't even focus on the things that are hard or the things that were originally disappointing or I had resistance to. I just surrendered, let go of all resistance in order to preserve my frequency or my state of mind. I don't think it's sad what's happening on the surface. There is destruction. I think everything is collapsing. I was sent a couple articles today about the monetary system also possibly will go through a major reset. So it is going to be quite intense. These are gonna be no joke times, and I think the most intense part of it, everybody is saying it's going to be the next 5 months. Astrologically also it's heating up, but I think the blessing, the silver lining here is that this really gives us an opportunity to see through. There is a crack in the fabric of reality where the divine shines through. We're able to decondition, deprogram, because we have lived within a program that was generated from kind of like the service to self, the darker consciousness, the darker forces. So a lot of what culturally is set as a societal norm, a lot of our normal customs, they are not coming from an enlightened society, from an enlightened consciousness. They're coming from real constricted slavery type consciousness. So we're having a glimpse of what is beyond the dream, within the dream, because say nature is the 5D matrix, the 5D hologram, the reality that's an illusion, and then the 3D is almost like a dream within the dream, a matrix within the matrix, a hologram that is a copy of the main hologram. We are starting to expand. It is a very interesting process, and no one knows how it's gonna end, because free will and just because how time flows. And we can't get too confident because we're in it, so we have to just stay in the heart and experience the beauty of the time. All we have is today, and today the sun is shining and it's beautiful and the flowers are blossoming, and here it's still kind of it feels like spring a little bit. There's bees and stuff, but wherever you're at, clouds, rain, whatever it is, you can just tap into the moment and experience the true energy of the time. When I feel the energy, which is daily, the energy is actually beautiful right now. There is this profound expansion, peace, and by expansion, it's just I'm having access to stuff I have not experienced on Earth before. I don't think I have, briefly, maybe. So there is energy that is beyond the frazzled surface. The surface is not very good. It's every day is just bad news, right? That's how it is. And because I am not a mind that is into being controlled, I question things, I see through things. So it's a whole nother aspect to just looking at things and seeing, the indoctrination, the programming in society. And I myself, having never been a mind that just accepts the narrative, I've never done that. I had to break down certain things that I kind of had them, but I haven't gotten deep into those. It was about certain things about, let's say, time. Time, I understood that it flows in each and every way, in each and every direction, and there's different experiences of time and so forth. I get that, and it's part of this reality. But now I experientially feel it, meaning like sometimes people take rest for themselves, and then they say, "Oh, I feel guilty, I wasted a day." In the sense of eternity, there is no time wasted. You can rest, you can read, you have all the eternity in the world to learn everything you want to learn, to do everything you want to do, to have the joyous, fun experiences you want to have, to connect, to laugh. So it's just a more expanded way to look at life, where the opposite is constantly lack of time, lack of resources, lack of this. I'm starting to see the real fabric of reality as a more abundant fabric, which is it's built out of love. The fabric is love. It's love is it's in its all facets of abundance, connection. And then also within karma and how karma flows and how it is in the way people understand it, it's more something of the 3D than the more expanded conscious self, the self that contains a lot higher scope of consciousness. So it's within karma, within those things, past lives, all of that, even past lives. It's a little bit of with the same obsession we have of the self, and like just tapping into the self far too much and looking at the self, which is a sickness of our culture. Same thing even in the spiritual circles, with us thinking that we can trace back lifetimes and it's us. And it's too much self-identification, so it leads to suffering. It leads to anchoring into that 3D. And we had to, because the energies were thick before. I think they're getting less thick now. It's a grand opportunity to lighten up, to shed the programming. With the programming, we can move forward. You have to shed it. It's painful sometimes. Some parts of the programming, like memory, we share memory complex. We share memories. So some of the ancient memories, the cultural memories, the historical memories, the personal memories, some of them are implanted. Some of them are just part of the whole. We are all water. Water carries memory. So I'm starting to really look at things in a new way, even within, I never quite looked at things in a normal way. Normal means, I'll tell you what it means. I think it means, it means typical nowadays, but I think it's word origin. Nice meant ignorant. Norma also had a very negative meaning, as one would imagine. Right now, I don't know where I was checking it. Like nice means ignorant originally. And Norma was also Nor. Mal is a sickness. So it was related to sickness, the sickness of our culture or something. You know, mal is in medicine, it's a form of sickness. And that's another interesting thing, to just look at words and their meaning. And recently I was looking even at the monetary system. In the monetary system in the world, and even that is very interesting to study. And the words associated with certain things. But anyways, let's not, I really went on a tangent here. Not a question, just want to say it. You are a guiding light who continues to shine in different seasons of life. Thank you. It's so sweet. I will continue with the rest of the questions. Hold on. Books. What books you would recommend? I was a big book reader, not so much now. I am looking into just now books. Either Rudolf Steiner, I always recommend him. I'm looking into books that are from small guys that publish themselves, YouTubers I watch, or just small stuff. Nothing on the bestseller list, nothing published by the big publishing companies. They don't let the truth come through. The whole culture is infused with that same programming I was talking about. So we have to, if we want to awaken more and more, we have to deprogram. Very important. So we have to go to the small guys now rather than the celebrity names. They are part of the programming. So the big bestsellers, I can't. Movies, all of that. Rudolf Steiner was amazing. Being Sadhana for me was always amazing. Within the health, I'll try to post a list below. I was a big reader, but I have not been a big reader in the past 10 years. I started creating content, working, being in the world, and my consciousness shifted. I do still watch a lot of videos of people that I consider kind of like teacher activators, people that have a spark in them. They're smaller, again, nothing on the popular side, and people that have a spark and connection to divine knowledge. So those people, some of them self-publish and stuff. That is something I'll look into. And I like metaphysical books mostly, the practical manuals on herbs and food and stuff. And I'll post a few books and more metaphysical subjects. Right now I have next to my bed, and I'm enjoying it. It's in Bulgarian. I found it in my library here in Bulgarian. Tibetan Book of Life and Death. Not the Tibetan Book of the Death. It's Tibetan Book of Life and Death. I'll list it below. It's interesting. Herbs related, I shared a club, the secret language of plants, to stuff like this. How do we teach our children during this awakening to help them understand, understand? I think we just teach ourselves, and that is the presence we bring. But of course, with bigger kids, we have to talk. Words are also important. So the more we deprogram ourselves and come from a place of deep understanding and connection to the inner resources, again, inner containment resources. So we're not just parroting information that we've overheard from the outside. A lot of the information is just noise, right? But there is people that would say smart things. Now is the time to turn on the inner guidance. So I listen to many things. A lot of them are contradicting. A lot of the people I listen are so smart and so out there, and some of their ideas are totally nuts, crazy. And I don't believe or disbelieve anything. I just hear them out as interesting minds. And whatever arises in me as knowing, that is it. That is the knowingness within. But I'm open to people that are outside of the box, just beautiful minds. And I'm tapping into my own inner knowing as far as knowing goes. I don't believe anybody. I don't go, oh, they said this, wow, like I totally believe it, or take it as a fact, or take it as a new knowledge. Knowledge is anyways, knowing is important. Once we build ourselves, we emanate that energy, and we only can offer that, and we hope that their energy also is a match, and we offer. But as far as giving them guidance, it's all up to the mother to decide. Just you're the main person that is granted from the universe the responsibility to take care of your children and to teach them. Not the state, not the experts. You are the only one that have to give them the wisdom of existence. So as you feed yourself and you tap into your own knowing and inner truth, you're going to give them exactly the thing that they need. And for the reason why we're together with our children, there is a resonance, the soul need each other. And I think that's it. I mean, the world, they have to know. As far as Lottie, she's not at an age, my child, where I can explain things, but I will not spare her either. She already is kind of getting my energy very well. She gets me. So I will just be honest with her, and I won't sugarcoat things about the world the way I see it, but also won't impose it either. I will just be very honest without being harsh, because I see the world with its problems and with its beauty both. It's not limited. I'm not limited in just seeing the negative. I can criticize the negative very well, and it's fine. We all have to see everything in order for us to really be able to transform something that is of lower frequency. We have to hold enough light within ourselves and be able to look at it in order to experience liberation and freedom. In order for us to see the cycle of samsara, that's another thing I had to break down this year. This was one of my programming, the cycle of samsara. There was like a thing that you had to go through, so experience some level of perfection in order to end the cycle, and that is not true. Nothing is true really, except for what you create within yourself. Everything is mind. You are the absolute connection to creator. So anything you're experiencing, it comes from within, from the mind. We're the creator of our experience, and we perceive it. So we can choose how we perceive it, and we choose how to create, and we can fine-tune as we expand how we create things. But the more we believe in things, cycle of samsara, suffering, eternal suffering, all of that, the more we create it, because that's our belief system. And that's why we have to break down those belief systems in order to align with truth. Otherwise we have incapacity to align with the truth, because we're blocked by the wall, the brick wall of belief systems. Programming and belief systems is the same thing. It's serious. Those are serious questions. Thanks for asking them, and they're serious questions, and it always comes down to really having that strong inner resources and being really, really contained within yourself, so you can give and you don't get, jabbed by the energy of everything flowing around, and also not listening to things that have an agenda behind them, because that's the majority of what's happening. But also people are awakening. I can say it. I'm very critical if they're not, and I do feel that there is a massive awakening happening. Some percentage won't awaken, and that is a personal soul choice on a higher level for whatever reason. Everybody has to fulfill the role and the part. But I do see that we are all starting to step into new consciousness, and we are willing to look at things. If you could only do one yoga pose for every day, what would it be and why? One is really hard to do because I love a million poses. Like I have to choose 10, and that would be my bare minimum equals to 1. If I choose one, I would choose side angle, because it has a little bit of like it's not a twist, but it's a straightening out twist motion, lengthening motion, and I have the FIG class do it. No, elongation, FIG elongation, I think. It was a very different class. If you've never tried it, try it. I think it's on the website. I have dates, which is angulation and undulation. I have to pronounce it right. undulation. And I don't know if I do. This was the fig class, undulating movement. Let me not say it again. The fig was elongation. It was absolutely phenomenal. It's just, to me, it's like, wow, it can just fix everything and awaken your own cellular level, the spine, the spinal fluid. So side angle has that. You can reach and really strengthen and kind of feel a little bit of a twist from the straightening, and then you have a squat with one of the legs and a really good stretch in the other hip and the other leg and in the calf. So that would be one possible pose. That's a good one, and it's also good for pregnancy. It helps with all the issues with pregnancy, because I have a class that is 5 minutes, I think, and one 15 minutes. I'm kind of spread out, so I don't know. One was on YouTube, one is on my program, but I had a 155 minutes class that is something to do every day, no matter what, like before bed. If you want to sleep well and not have back pain, sciatica, leg pain, leg cramps, bladder pain, all of the stuff that happens with pregnancy. And I swore by it, and it had triangle, I want to say yogic squat, double pigeon, stuff like that. Just things that really free the hips and the torso and the spine. What are your self-care tips when feeling vulnerable? You guys are asking serious questions. Feeling vulnerable, I think it's as with everything else, time alone, time in nature. Those are the most important things, to fill your cup and to strengthen your field, so that things bounce off of your field. They don't come in and they don't hurt you. Then you don't feel hurt. You feel strong within your own connection to the divine. Always going deeper and deeper, going deeper and deeper. And when you do it naturally over time, it's not gonna be like a Kundalini awakening one big event, but it's more of a continuous process of expanding and deepening. Same thing, going up, going in, expanding, deepening is the same thing, but macrocosm, microcosm, microcosm, macrocosm. Nature, reading books that are really inspiring. For me, it's always higher concepts. I care for higher concepts. I don't care for the practical, smaller things. That I care about is, okay, healing, herbs. I used to read, natural eating. Now not so much, because I've read everything. It's really simple to eat naturally. It's just whole plant foods, local if you can, buy the ones you can't, and so forth. I mean, you just go with your attraction. But then with herbs, you can always learn with other healing modalities, massage and acupuncture, acupressure, essential oils, crystals. Just feel, stay in the place of inspiration. Always have new curiosity, new things to learn. That to me is very important. Some people are less big on inspiration or curiosity and more into other things. So, I mean, you have to go with your natural personality. Do a yoga class, do a dance, listen to music that is something that reaches your heart. Feel the more expanded perspective of life, not the smaller self. The smaller self is easier to, the ego is easier to get hurt. When we get out and out and out and out, it's just we don't see ourselves as separate, and we become stronger that way. Also, on a very practical level, besides nature, diet, always lots of water and lots of good whole foods and fruit, because fruit raises our frequency and balances our hormones. And the more balanced the hormones are, the less we'll feel moody. Given that we have to accept that sometimes we'll feel vulnerable, and then it's okay without resistance to accept it, as long as it's not a long period of time. Like, say you feel vulnerable for like just a short period, a day or something, then you just accept it and you stay in it. If it's longer, balance the hormones, and as you balance the hormones, there isn't those things, those dips. I really swore by diet. I realized how important diet is in my pregnancy, because I was just a happy pregnant woman. Johnny was joking that I'm just too annoying, like too happy. And then also my hormones were very balanced after birth because they're very strong, but I felt like the massive inspiration and fire rather than just, and that is also, the environment is very important. The people around us are very important, but also we just really trusting in our own selves and feeding the body, feeding the mind, watching people that are inspiring. I have a few channels that they're not very popular. I don't know. I'm not sure if I should share or not because they're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But I have people that I love to see whenever I have time and to just learn, to hear activators, we can call teachers activators, and to just keep myself in a space of contemplating higher truths, tapping into that frequency. I think that nature is always number one, and books can be very strengthening. They can really strengthen us and we feel more content, and I think that's it. And also if you can take a pause from people, that too, it's good. If you feel very vulnerable, to just pause from everybody in the world so that you can rebuild yourself. If you put your feet in the earth and maybe even plant or pick local herbs or flowers or just smell them, it will rebuild you. That would be my advice. But if you guys have other suggestions, I'm sure you're very smart people and very interesting, so you can post other suggestions, because for me it's always just time alone and nature and some good knowledge. I'm big on like some kind of big thoughts. That always makes me also feel powerful, because I'm mindy, but I don't think about myself, and I don't think at all almost in the day. I don't have thoughts, but like I love concepts, and that always makes me feel real strong. So other people are different, they're creative. Maybe you can create. I just came back from the farmer's market. I went with Leia and I fell in love but didn't buy them. I'll think about it and maybe I'll go back and buy them. There was this woman, maybe 70 or 80-year-old, and she had a beautiful jewelry stand, and she made bronze earrings that were coated in that turquoise green color, blue color, and there was snakes. As symbolism, it's interesting. She had symbolic words too, letters that mean powerful, with powerful meaning. And she had, I fell in love with something that was a gecko, and it was a gecko at the front, and then the tail formed a hoop. And I was really into it. Maybe I'll go back and get it next. And they're handmade, they're beautiful. But as I said, I'm an ideas person. Some would want to make music. Someone would want to make jewelry. Someone just be in nature, be quiet. I think we live in a society of productivity, and oftentimes that confuses us as to what our personal value is. But you feel in connection to love, the divine, the supreme mind, the oneness, the God, the goddess, whatever you want to call it. It will give you this absolute content, inner strength. And also, I might do a meditation, but I do have classes for solar plexus. They're in the core program. Core and solar plexus will make you feel way stronger as a person, way more integrated. Those are my tips. And essential oils. Oh my goodness, that's a big one. Flower essences. If you feel very, very vulnerable, just things hurt you, there is differences what makes you vulnerable, where it is coming from. Pick a flower essence. I'll list a flower essence source. Pick a flower essence that matches your symptoms, or a flower that you love how it looks, one of the two, or the name can be two. Pick it, because it will build you without you feeling it. It's building you. It will build you from the inside out on a spiritual level. It will build you from the finer layers. It will come into the thoughts and the mind and the emotions and the physical. This question, what are your favorite natural makeup and skincare brands, shop, websites? I'll do a video on that one because I'm already at 54 minutes, and that one is gonna be its own thing. I have new things that I'm enjoying, although it's kind of weird because the more I do stuff and learn about skincare and even skin devices, I don't look as good as I used to, but I know more. So it's just, before it was easier to do less and just have better skin. Now I don't know. We're working with the reverse process, but eternity. I'll do a video on the skincare next. Hi Ali, can you please talk about liver detox? That goes with emotions, by the way. I forgot to mention with the feeling vulnerable, clean up the organs, because if you feel kind of very vulnerable, it could be kidneys, it could be lungs, heart, or in just general hormones. But good to clean up and strengthen the organs. Yoga strengthens them also because it stimulates flow, chi through there. A liver detox, you know, I have never done the one that you drink the oil, the liver flush. So I can't speak from experience. I've heard really good things about it, but with fruit, I feel that fruit is the miracle, magical substance that cleans up parasites and cleans up the liver. With liver, if it's just like kind of like, if you're asking about just the herbs, they're always a must. I actually planted dandelion seeds to throw dandelions in my salad. Always dandelion, burdock, yellow dock, all of those are very good. With licorice, they're always very good to just have them. Chicory. But fruit is very cleansing to every single organ, and it removes, I think, a lot of the common poisons that are happening right now, environmental poisons. So I think fruit is always number one, and then herbs. The flush, I think it's if people have a particular reason. I've heard good things about it, the liver flush. And then there is specific herbs for conditions, people with cirrhosis and stuff. There are more serious herbs there that really get things going. But I think it's always important, because if the liver is not in good condition, the person can feel tired, angry, pessimistic, negative, kind of more Saturnian, like the Saturn experience of like pessimism. And Saturn is very good to tap into the energy of Saturn, because even though it's the Lord of, I mentioned this on my other channel in a video, is the Lord of karma, time, death, suffering, disease, poverty. Shall I keep going? But even though it's a lot more things, like, you think I've said it all and it's more, but it's also the place of liberation in the chart and breaking away, finishing the karmic cycle. So even though it is a place of also limitation, it's a place of absolute unlimited expansion. The same place, of course. That's how paradoxical the universe is and life. But in order to feel a little lighter in life and more optimistic, a lot of it is inner work, but it's also physical work. That's why I'm big on the yoga and the diet and the herbs and the plants and the nature and the breathing. All of it is just one holistic system that we, as we get older, I think the beauty of getting older is we become more self-contained. We connected internally more, and we bounce off the external more. That being said, I do feel how people feel far more than ever before. I used to be able to really hear people out and be able to be a more balancing, like a more centered, grounded force. And now I can actually feel how they feel, which is, it's not empathy per se, but it's more of the telepathic. We're more all expanding, and we have to learn how to deal with the new senses. And some of you may think, what are you talking about? I'm not feeling anything new. Believe me, the energies are changing, whether you can put your finger on it and you can quite put it into words or not. They are changing in small and big ways. We're able to hold high frequency thoughts, more expanded thoughts, things that we couldn't conceptualize before. We're able to feel certain new things, to heal in different ways, to serve in different ways, to give in different ways. So things are changing. Compassion maybe will become even more integrated. Not that humanity is that compassionate as a whole, but humans are pretty compassionate. Let's be give them the credit for that. So more of love and compassion has the capacity to be integrated. So I think liver detox is good, always to maintain the organs and to clean up. That's why I have mentioned before, I do fruit days, and in those fruit days my calories are high because it's dates and bananas, and I do peanut powder in my like little cereal type thing. But it feels very, I fill up my tank with glycogen, but also, they're very cleansing to the pathogens, microorganisms, even parasites, whatever you can think of. Just it's very good for the system to constantly, nourish, but also rest, clean, the whole thing. Everything is needed. I think this is the stuff I took photo of, the questions. This is the photos I took. So thank you all for submitting the questions. I'll see you with skincare, I think, soon, unless you want me to do something else. Like I have good supplements or herbal things that I could also share that I've been including in the past few months. So let me know what you want me to do. Also, let me know about the classes you want me. I need feedback so I can make strong decisions about programs, because I know you want strong classes. So coffee cups are coming, but the other ones are also interesting, and they're still strong. So thank you, and I'll see you soon.